Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well today. In this video, I want to discuss some 4.1.1 news, as well as discuss some of the big changes that seem to be coming with this patch, including another Valkyrie buff, and some speculation on the new guild currencies. As well as talk some just general Star Citizen things with the new Freefly event, the spring promotion, and discussing some of CIG's communication over the past few months. Besides that, if you are enjoying the content, feel free to subscribe. I have memberships open if you want to go the extra mile, and I have a link to the community Discord down below. I would absolutely love to have you there. Besides that, let's get into some of the Star Citizen news for this week. Now, to start this off, I do want to talk about when you might actually get your hands on 4.1.1. And that actually could be as early as today if you are Wave 1 for PTU. They discussed it yesterday and this morning, but their goals are to get an Evocati patch out tonight and then after a few hours, hopefully publish it to Wave 1 so that everyone who is a part of Wave 1 can start getting their hands on it, getting some wider testing on that as well. As we all know, once it does hit wave one, we can start publishing footage, playing it on live streams, all that stuff. So hopefully I can get some of that footage for you guys in the near future. But it does seem that if you are wave one, there is a chance you could play this patch tonight, which I think is pretty exciting. Now, regardless of which patch you play, though, it could get a little crazy because, as we know, there is a brand new Freefly event starting this Thursday. This is something I really want to hear your thoughts on, as it is our first Freefly since 4.0 dropped, and it is certainly a big deal to see how the servers actually handle it all. Now, typically, there is a Freefly around Invictus launch week, but it seems they might be trying to get it done beforehand so that the Invictus experience is a bit more solid than it usually is. As we know from some of the latest leaks, there should be a lot happening around Invictus this year. If you'd like to know some more about those leaks I'm referring to, feel free to check out these videos as we cover many of them here. The link will be down below for those. Now, something I don't think anyone's surprised about is that on the same day that the free fly starts, so does the spring promotion. I'm not entirely sure what this could look like for many of the players that are already in the game. We know that this is going to help many of those new players that do play during the free fly get into the game, buy in with a game package of sorts. But besides that, it doesn't really look like we're going to get any new information or anything really worth noting coming out of this event. Now, speaking of that same day, Thursday, we're also getting an Inside Star Citizen talking about new hairstyles coming to the verse over the next few months until the end of the year. And I really do want to hear your opinion on this one. For me personally, I don't really mind them having Inside Star Citizens that are like in unrelated to what's going on currently in the game. But I do think that overall CIG's communication could be a little bit better, at least on some of the other topics that are going on around the community. I did want to hear your thoughts though. How do you feel about the communication as of late when it comes to CIG? I know they have things like Invictus, CitizenCon, and IEE where they're going to drop more information. But, just in between that time, how have you felt about it? Are you kind of wanting a little bit more? Do you want to hear more about some features that are coming later this year, anything like that? Or are you okay with what we have currently? Regardless, I would love to hear your opinion down below. Turning our heads to 4.1.1 here, unfortunately, we still don't have a ton of official news on this patch. Of course, have tons and tons of leaks about this, but outside of sneak peeks and the actual roadmap roundup last week, we're still kind of left out of the loop as to what's going on here. But I do want to go over a few things that we didn't know in the last few videos, as well as some speculation. Now, the first thing I do want to talk about is that the Anvil Valkyrie is getting 2 times the amount of health that it did before. The ship is going from 44,000 HP roughly to about 90,000 HP, which is an incredibly large jump, and I am genuinely curious as to why. As of the last few patches, it does seem that this ship is getting a ton of love, everything from increasing the cargo grid to slaving the weapons to the pilot, and now this. I know that the Valkyrie owners are definitely enjoying some of these buffs, but I am absolutely curious as to why the ship is getting so much love recently. The next thing here, though, is that I do want to go back to something that was announced last month, but we haven't heard anything since, and that is the new Volt Quartz SMG. This SMG was stated to release in a 4.1.x patch, and as we approach one of those types of patches, I certainly believe we could see it mixed in with all of the new content. They actually decided to use the image of the new SMG as the picture for the roadmap roundup that they said for the weekly newsletter. Not entirely sure why they decided to do that without mentioning it in the actual update, but it could just be a hint at the fact that it is coming within the patch. Regardless, I think we'll see this very, very soon and hopefully some more of those new Volt weapons. Speaking of some new content, though, I did want to talk about last week's sneak peek, that being these physical scripts. Now, as we know from recent leaks, there should be a script currency for both the Mercenary Guild and the Council, basically lawful and unlawful. Now, though this isn't the most exciting thing by itself, some of the potential behind these new currencies are really exciting. If you remember back at the 1.0 presentation for CitizenCon, guilds were a massive part of the progression and content that you were offered in the verse. With these new scripts being attached to two very important and opposing guilds, it makes me wonder what this means for the near future. Assuming these scripts actually make it into the next patch, will we finally have some sort of tangible currency to trade with guilds? And if so, does that mean there will be locations specifically for these guilds around the verse? Of course, we really don't know much more until we get into the PTU, but even though this edition isn't as flashy and as cool as some of these new missions, I do think it could have a very similar potential to what we are seeing with Wicklow and all of the trading going on there. It does seem that you could actually use these physical scripts and trade them in Twicklo based off of some new leaks. But at the same time, I think we'll just wait until we actually get some more official news on this. And as a matter of fact, with tonight's PTU build, or hopefully PTU Wave 1 build, we could actually get some more information on some of these physical scripts. The last thing really worth noting when it comes to this new patch news is the mission stuff that we're getting. We'll probably be able to test that tonight in the PTU if that comes to wave one. Of course, if it doesn't, it'll just be an Evocati and we won't actually get to see anything about it. But I do think there's a chance we'll see some of those new patrol missions, the ambush missions, and all those new combat modifiers like the Ace Pilot and the chicken ships. I think those are some really cool additions, and hopefully we can see that tonight within the new PTU build. Outside of that, though, I don't have too much for you today. I really would love to hear your thoughts, though, especially on the communication aspect of CAG in the past few months. I really am kind of curious. Have you kind of enjoyed what they've been putting out lately, or are you kind of wanting a little bit more? And also, how do you feel about the free fly and the spring promotion event that's going on? Again, I'll probably just end up playing like 4.1.1 when that releases to PTU. I probably won't engage too much on the free fly or any of the spring promotion stuff as I don't really buy too many things on the store at all. But I do want to hear your thoughts on it. Besides that, though, I really do appreciate you sticking around. I know it's been a bit of a slow news week when it comes to this next patch and just generally what's going on with Star Citizen. That's mainly why I ask about the communication stuff. But regardless, I really appreciate you sticking around. Hopefully, we get to see the PTU come to Wave 1 today. I'd love to get some footage out for you guys as soon as possible. Let me know how you feel about the Valkyrie buff. I know that that ship has gotten a lot of buffs in the last few months, so I would love to hear your thoughts on that. But again, thank you so much for watching and being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.